will be presiding. At this time, would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to all our guests. Again, if there's someone that has not signed the clipboard there, please do so. We will have roll call. Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Batcher.
Here.
Councilmember Morgan.
Here.
Councilmember Sharpie.
Here. 4
members present. Currently, we have one vacancy in the council, so we are down to 4 members. Also at the table on my left is City Administrator Amy Newsom. I believe Ross Arneson, City Attorney, will be joining us soon. With that out of the way, it is 6:30, so I would like to call the public hearing to order for the pending assessments. This was advertised as a 6:30 start, and I will turn it over to City Administrator Newsom.
I don't know if we have anybody here. The pending assessments were sent letters. Lisa sent out the letters on the pending assessments. We have 5. SEK Financial at 407 West Adams Street was $848.64 for utilities. 307 West Baker, Sierra Lane Capital owes the same amount for the utilities this year, and 405 West Baker, Nancy Seth owes the same amount, $848.64 for utilities. And then we have 2 that owe for lawn maintenance, where we had to go in and take care of the lawn this year. That's 307 West Baker, Sierra Lane Capital, $456.84. And Nancy Seth, 405 West Baker, $456.84, and these will be approved by resolution and sent to the county.
Okay, is there anyone present that wishes to speak to any of any of the items on the assessments? Anyone at all? Hearing none, we will close the assessment public hearing, and we will move back into regular session. We do have another public hearing that is going to begin at no earlier than 6:45, so right now we'll go back to the agenda and go to item 5, approve the agenda. Any agenda additions?
I do. I have 3 of them this evening. We have, under the consent agenda, the resignation of Brent Duckett from the ambulance service. We will be approving the committee pay this evening. Those are in front of you. And then
Where does that go on the agenda? The committee pay, is that
under the consent agenda.
consent
as
agenda
well.
also? Okay. Okay.
And then I have one more, the OSHA ETS update. I'd just like to walk you through what the League of Minnesota Cities sent out today.
And that would be under communications. Is there any other additions or changes in the agenda?
What was H? Did you say H under the consent agenda?
Resignation of Brent Duckett, is that the one you
Or
heard?
the next one?
Committee pay,
Where was that in our packet?
that's in front of you. There you go. I see
Oh,
it.
okay,
Committee pay for 2021.
okay. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the additions.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Batcher, second by Councilmember Sharpie to approve the agenda with the additions that were read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Moving on to the consent agenda, consists of the following items. Item A, approval of the bills. Item B, approval of the December 6, 2021 City Council minutes. Item C, approve Gaylor Sanitation application for solid waste collection dumpster permit for 2022. Item D, approve waste management application for solid waste collection dumpster permit for 2022. Item E, approve Renville Sibley Sanitation LLC application for solid waste collection dumpster permit for 2022. Item F, approve Renville Sibley Sanitation LLC bid for city contract for waste collection 2022. And G, approve Renville Sibley Sanitation LLC bid for recycling for 2022. Item H, approve the resignation that was received for Brent Dockett from the Ambulance Association. And lastly, item I, that's where you, committee pay, to approve the committee pay. This would be the citizen committees that have met throughout the year, and they are paid each December, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Councilmember Morgan moved to approve the consent agenda as read, second by Councilmember Batcher. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. All right, we'll move down to item 9, communications. OSHA.
I received a notice from the League of Minnesota Cities today that the ruling was overturned on moving forward with testing for COVID with employers that have more than 100 employees. The League of Minnesota Cities sent out notice today that there would be more information forthcoming from Minnesota Ocean on ETS for municipalities. And they will look at us separately, but they said, we assume more litigation is forthcoming. We encourage cities to continue planning their policy and securing a vendor for testing. More information is to come, but I just wanted you to be aware in case something comes out that we do have to have a policy in place regarding COVID vaccinations, and if we do need to start testing people.
Okay.
I will let you know as information comes out from the league. Right now, we have 84 employees, if they do look at the city with that 100 employee mark as well.
And our 84 includes
Everybody,
Everybody.
part-time, everything.
ambulance, everything, yeah.
Correct.
All right. Any questions on that? Phil is not back, is he?
He is,
He's
he's way
back.
back there.
Oh, Phil. Okay, I was looking at the hearing, but we don't, yeah, I guess we could, no, we can't start it
We
before
can't, but you
6:45.
can do this.
You could give your report now, Phil, on the
And then he'll
planning
do
and
the chair.
zoning and community center report.
So what, I'm doing my report?
Yeah, the hearing will be just a
The
few
hearing will
minutes
be in a
later.
few minutes.
Alright. Okay. I hope everyone's doing well. When it comes to my reports, let's start with the community center first. There's really nothing to report when it comes to the community center. We've been pretty slow here. Pretty much the most exciting thing I've had is I had the taps cleaned for our bar stands and stuff like that. Beyond that, nothing else. Moving on to planning and zoning. Not much. When it came to November, we had to cancel our meetings in November because we didn't have a quorum. So beyond that, I'm just consistently working on the code, as you're all aware of. I'm still working on the Safe Routes to School grant. Good news there. St. Paul's School passed the resolution that needed to be passed for it. So they're in support of it. But beyond that, there's really not much else to say. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyone have any questions?
Question for Phil? Okay,
Alright,
thank
thank
you. All right, move on to the November Police Department report.
The numbers are up on the screen, pretty low numbers for November. Everything is going well with Denley. We talk pretty consistently. We chatted today. We have 3 applications right now for the chief of police. 3 complete applications. I had 3 more inquiries today. We were just reposted on the post board because our posting came down. We have to keep reposting it. So we're waiting to get a few more applications in before Denley and I sit down and do the initial review.
Okay, any questions on
Any
that?
questions about it, I guess? Any questions about the police report, let me know, I'll pass it along. I've asked Denley that I've said that he does not have to come to council meetings. Said I'll present the report. So, questions, let me know.
Okay, let's get into the revenue and expenditure report then through the end of November.
Revenue report looks a little different because we haven't transferred those funds yet, which we will do today. The funds we transfer into the CIP, the water, from the wage whack and sack. So we're sitting at 88% for our revenue. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Same thing with the expenditures. Overall, we're still sitting pretty good on track with the budget. Sticking to the budget, we should come in under.
Okay,
Questions, let me know.
any questions, anyone? Okay, move on to the library report.
I included this in the packet this evening. We weren't able to go to the library meeting. John was out of town. The mayor and I were at an EDA meeting. They had rescheduled the library committee meeting, and Rich and I found out at the same time that Lisa has resigned as the library director, effective December 22nd, which is too bad. I thought she was doing, I'm gonna give her a shout out, I thought she was doing an excellent job, and I did reach out to her and say, I'm sorry to see you go. I understand she's moving on to a new job someplace else, so she'll be coming here tomorrow. We are having a staff meeting, kind of our Christmas meeting tomorrow morning, and I've invited her to come over, so.
Any questions on that? Everyone got a copy of it, so. All right, not quite 6:45. We're going to do a few resolutions here, and maybe we can get through a good share of them. Item 15, Resolution 88-2021, a resolution approving the salary, wage, and health insurance benefit plan for 2022.
On the health insurance, on the benefit form, I do need to update that our health insurance provider for next year will be Seneca. Costs are staying exactly the same. All the costs on our benefits are staying exactly the same as 2021, but we are switching to Medica. We're part of South Central Service Co-op.
I'm sure.
They make the decision and said we're switching to Medica. All of our benefits are supposed to remain exactly the same. Nothing is supposed to change for us. And same thing with dental insurance, everything is staying the same, so.
Okay. Questions, anyone on that?
And then I've also included a copy of what we pay for wages. That's one of our biggest expenses, always will be. Same thing was true at the county. Wages are one of the biggest expenses. We were at 1.173 million, we're at 1.262 for 2022. You'll notice we have more part-time staff this year. Increased budget with the EMTs and paramedics, part-time staff. We don't really know what the chief of police wages will be yet, because we'll negotiate that when we hire someone.
I'll introduce resolution 88-2021, a resolution approving the salary, wage, and health insurance benefits for 2022.
I'll second.
Resolution 88-2021, introduced by Councilmember Morgan, second by Councilmember Thomas, and that is a resolution approving the salary, wage, and health insurance benefit plan for 2022. Is there further discussion? If not, vote by roll call. Councilmember Sharpie?
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor?
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed. The resolution is adopted. 1 minute. All right, we'll get one out of the way. Resolution 89-2021, a resolution adopting the 2021 tax levy collectible in 2022, ordering the levy to be certified with Sibley County Auditor.
Up on the screen, you'll see our levy we're levying. I did bold the ones we are levying differently this year. Our general levy looks much smaller than in past years because we're now breaking down and we're levying the fire, ambulance, cemetery, community center, and capital improvements all separately. We are still under $1 million for our levy, which I think we're doing pretty good. I don't know if you looked at the neighboring town, was at 1.7 million, I think. So I think we're doing well with our levy yet. Kind of just that 3.5% each year, which is what we followed at the county. Just to keep on top of things, you need to have a little bit of an increase each year.
Well, then,
I'll-
go ahead.
I'll introduce resolution 89, 2021, a resolution adopting the 2021 tax levy collectibles in 2022.
Second.
Resolution 89-2021, introduced by Councilmember Morgan, second by Councilmember Batchor. That is a resolution adopting the 2021 tax levy collectible in 2022, ordering the levy to be certified with the Sibley County Auditor. Questions? Comments? We'll vote by roll call. Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, the resolution is adopted. Okay, at this time, it's 6:46, and we will open, or recess the regular meeting. We'll open the hearing on the proposed planning and zoning fees.
I was reading something and realized that if you have planning and zoning fee increases over a certain, if you collect more than a certain dollar amount, you have to have a public hearing on your planning and zoning fees. And I noticed the city hadn't done it in the past. I reached out to Attorney Arneson questioning if I was reading, what I was reading was correct. And yes, he confirmed that we do have to have a public hearing on our planning and zoning fees. So that is what we're doing today. We're doing about a 5% increase. We did round some of these off just to make it easier for collecting payments, but it averages about a 5% increase.
Exactly.
Phil, did you want to say anything about your fees?
This
This does not include building permit fees. This is just planning and zoning fees. We did
Yeah.
not increase building permits.
Going off what the city administrator said, yes, she's correct. This is strictly off my zoning reviews and anything that would incorporate anything involving zoning. Beyond that, from what me and the city administrator have discussed, I have no issues with it. If anyone has any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer them.
Anybody from the public have any questions about the planning and zoning fee increases?
It's a subtle increase. I mean, I might hear something in the back end of it, but in all honesty, this is something that we should have expected.
It's a similar amount to what we did last year.
Right.
Michelle probably remembers we talked about it when I was doing planning and zoning, the 5 slow increases.
And
Well,
from
we were
what being-
we're way behind our neighboring
Other
communities.
cities, correct.
right.
So trying to recoup some of our expenditures with administration
And
is
from
what's
what-
fueling the increase, so.
And from what me and the city administrator discussed, also the city clerk, it might have been easier just to round stuff off, you know.
Yes.
'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes
We all
having
just agreed
that,
to round stuff
yeah,
off.
to having that
Mhm.
extra change can annoy some people. So make it an even number, and they tend to be more satisfied with it. At the same time, that's just me coming from a customer service angle on it, but what do I know?
Okay, any comments from the audience? You have not received any,
I have not received any
Written.
written
Okay.
or calls.
Nope, neither have I, so I can contest that so far everything's been golden with us moving forward zoning wise.
I'll ask one more time. Any comments from the audience regarding the public hearing for proposed planning and zoning fees? Hearing none, we will close the hearing for 2022 proposed planning and zoning fees.
Awesome, thank you.
Moving along where we left off, we did complete Resolution 89-2021, Resolution 90-2021, a resolution adopting the 2022 Arlington municipal budget.
This is a long one. Hopefully you've had a chance to go through the budget. And actually Lisa and I this year kind of tag team. I put together the budget, then I sent it to her to do a review of the budget to make sure all the numbers were correct, so that when we did the final resolution, she had a chance to just look at, rounding of cents and everything, just to make sure. It was nice to have a second pair of eyes on there, so thank you, Lisa, for taking the time to do that.
questions, comments? Would someone care to introduce a resolution?
I'll introduce resolution 90-2021, a resolution adopting the 2022 Arlington municipal budget.
Second.
Resolution 90-2021, introduced by Councilmember Sharpie, second by Councilmember Thomas, and this is a resolution adopting the 2022 Arlington municipal budget. Discussion? Hearing none, we will vote by roll call. Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, the resolution is adopted. Resolution 91-2021, a resolution adopting the 2022 schedule of fees and charges for various services, licenses, and permits.
In addition to the changes in the planning and zoning fees, which we already reviewed, there have been many adjustments, many increases, basically due to inflation. I reached out to all the department heads asking them if they have increases. We also reviewed earlier on the increases to our enterprise funds. The different percentages were incorporated. Some were rounded off again. The cents were rounded off just to make it easier for Lisa when she's doing the billing. But everything was highlighted, all the changes we had discussed.
Question on the helipad. This is a function that, is the police department going to be picking it up whenever they can? Or what is, this applies when the fire department has to respond, is it?
Correct. This
Okay.
applies when the fire department has to respond. Being we only have 2 police officers at the moment, it'll probably fall on the fire department to
Okay.
respond right
Until we-
now.
right
We'll-
now.
We'll discuss it again when we have the chief of police
Okay.
in place.
Okay, understood. Any other questions on the resolution to adopt the fee schedule? I think most of, well, all of it was discussed in bits and pieces throughout the budgeting process, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I brought it up several times
Mhm.
during our workshops.
I'll introduce resolution 91-2021, adopting the 2022 schedule of fees and charges for various services, licenses, and permits.
Second.
Councilmember Batchor introduced resolution number 91-2021, and was seconded by Councilmember Sharpie. It is a resolution adopting the 2022 schedule of fees and charges for various services, licenses, and permits. We will vote by roll call. Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, the resolution is adopted. Resolution 92-2021, a resolution accepting a donation and designating its use.
We received $20 from Peace Lutheran Church to be used for the fire department.
I'll introduce resolution 92-2021, accepting a donation and designating its use.
Second.
Councilmember Batchor introduced resolution 92-2021, seconded by Councilmember Thomas, and it is a resolution accepting a donation and designating its use. It was a donation of $20 from Peace Lutheran Church to be used by the fire department. Vote by roll call, Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, the resolution is adopted. Resolution 93-2021, a resolution accepting a donation and designating its use.
This is another $20 from Peace Lutheran Church, this time for the ambulance.
I'll introduce resolution 93-2021, accepting a donation, and designating its use.
Is there a second?
Second.
Resolution 93-2021, introduced by Councilmember Batchor, second by Councilmember Thomas. This is a resolution accepting a donation, designating its use, and that is a $20 donation from Peace Lutheran Church to be used for in the Arlington ambulance operation. Vote by roll call. Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, the resolution is adopted. Resolution 90, last one, Resolution 94-2021, a resolution accepting donation designating its use.
This one is for $100 from the Arlington Area Chamber of Commerce to be used for the ambulance fund 202.
Go ahead.
I'll introduce resolution 94-2021, a resolution accepting a donation and designating its use.
Second.
Resolution 94-2021, introduced by Councilmember Sharpie, second by Councilmember Batchor, and it is a resolution accepting a donation designating its use. Specifically, it's a donation of $100 from the Arlington Area Chamber of Commerce to be used in the Arlington, to be put in the Arlington Ambulance Fund 202. Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
4 in favor, none opposed, the resolution is adopted. Resolution 95-2021, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract for the water treatment facility rehabilitation.
Jake is here. He came just at the right time. I told him he could take his time. This is, we opened bids last week.
Last Tuesday, yep.
Last Tuesday, was it Tuesday already? I'm gonna put together the resolution awarding the bid to the lowest bidder, lowest responsible bidder. Did you wanna talk about the bids?
Yep, so we got 7, which is fantastic. Normally, I'd be happy if we got 3 to 4. 7 is really, really good, so there's a lot of interest in this project. Bids were good. The estimate I presented at last council meeting, I think it was early November, was, I think, 25,000 lower than the low bid. So I was the low bidder, I guess, but I was relatively close.
You're hired.
See, I only put the plans and specs together, you're not gonna want me to build it. So, happy with the results, and Greater Construction, the low bidder, does a lot of water wastewater work, actually, that's exclusively what they do. They're a local contractor in Minnesota, Buffalo, they do a good job, so I'm happy with them, and in my opinion, they're one of the better contractors we work with. Any questions for me?
Looks like they pretty much have entire year of 2022 to do
Yep.
it.
Correct.
Okay. Will they be starting right in the dead of winter, January?
Yep, they can.
Okay.
Fortunately, with this one, it's all indoor work, so
Okay.
they can get going. Right away typically is submittals, so they're working on material submittals that we gotta approve and review. So that will probably be the first few months. I would expect by maybe late February, March timeframe, maybe to have someone on site doing work.
Okay. Okay, any questions from the council? Someone introduce the resolution.
I'll introduce, resolution 95-2021, resolution accepting a bid and awarding it for the, contract for the water treatment.
A second.
Resolution 95-2021, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract for the water treatment facility rehabilitation. It was introduced by Councilmember Morgan, second by Councilmember Thomas. And the low bid was by Greeter Construction at $1,631,900. Discussion? Questions of Mr. Pickleman? If not, vote by roll call. Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, the resolution is adopted. Thank you, Jake.
You have one more thing, Jake,
Oh.
before you're on. So
Yep.
don't leave
Okay.
yet.
I got a little bit yet? Okay.
Yep. I just want to give you a quick update too. Shannon Sweeney will be coming to the January 3rd council meeting to talk about bonding. We plan to use about $900,000 of our cash towards this project and bond for the rest.
All right, resolution 96-2021, a resolution ordering and the filing of assessments.
Ms. These are the assessments we went through at the public hearing. You can see them up on the screen. 3 for utilities and 2 for lawn maintenance.
When we first started doing that, that list was a lot bigger. So I'm
This is
happy,
good.
Yeah,
so I'm
it
happy to
has
see
been.
that it's as short as it is,
Yeah.
so.
Good.
I'll introduce resolution, 96, 2021, ordering the filing of assessments.
Second.
Resolution 96-2021, introduced by Councilmember Batchor, second by Councilmember Sharpie, as a resolution ordering the filing of assessments. Any questions, comments? Vote by roll call. Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, the resolution is adopted. Resolution 97-2021, a resolution transferring city funds.
This is something we do at the end of every year. We'll be doing less of this next year per Tom Olinger's request to levy all of those separately. So we won't be doing as much transferring because he would rather see us not be transferring quite as many funds. So we won't be doing all this transferring from the general fund next December because we'll budgeted for it. It'll go into the appropriate accounts when we receive the levy money. But we're also transferring, so we're transferring out of the general fund into the various funds. Also, we're covering those whack and sacks, because we can't be robbing from the enterprise funds. You know, we waive the whack and sack, but we do have to, someone has to pay for it, so we transfer that money from the general fund into the enterprise funds. Also, the medical center money, you know, we break that up into various different funds. We use it for healthy living initiatives, so you see the breakdown of that as well. Questions?
I'll introduce resolution 97-2021, a resolution transferring city funds.
Second.
Resolution 97-2021, introduced by Councilmember Morgan, second by Councilmember Thomas. It is a resolution transferring city funds. Any further questions, comments? Vote by roll call. Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, the resolution is adopted. Item 25 on the agenda, approve, deny changes in personnel policy, section 2.16, alcohol, mood altering drugs, tabled from the 12/6/2021 meeting. I think the appropriate way to do this, if we want to discuss it again, is I would ask for a motion to remove from the table so that it can be opened up for discussion. Is there a motion to that effect?
Make a motion to remove from table to discuss.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Batchor, second by Councilmember Morgan, to remove from the table the topic of changing the 2.16 alcohol mood altering drugs, and this was tabled at the December 6th meeting. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried, and the item is open for discussion. City Administrator, do you have anything?
Yep, I'll start it off.
Mhm.
There's some rumors out there that I started wanting to change this personnel policy, which is untrue. I called the League of Minnesota Cities with a question relating to HR. And they had me read this section from our personnel policy where it said emergency personnel who have consumed more than 2 drink alcoholic beverages in the previous 4 hours shall not respond to an emergency call. And they did not like that language in our personnel policy and advised me to change it. So in talking to the League of Minnesota's Insurance Trust, they're our insurance providers, and they recommended a 0 tolerance policy. And I talked to them that may be difficult here in our smaller town, and we talked through it, and they talked about smaller steps, and they recommended the 12-hour period. No alcoholic drinks or mood-altering drugs, because we did not have that in our policy, within a 12-hour period. and council tabled it and asked about the 6 hours. So I called the League of Minnesota Cities again, and they said, it is up to city council to make policy decisions. They cannot tell us what to put in our personnel policy. They can make a recommendation as the League of Minnesota Cities and as our insurance provider. They also recommended that city council take the advice of their city attorney when it comes to the personnel policy. Because if the city is sued, a personnel policy is in place to protect the city and the employees if we are sued. If the city is sued, if something goes wrong at a fire call, not only can the city be sued, but individual firefighters can be sued. And if there is a judgment awarded, it would be awarded against the city as well as individual firefighters. So the policy is in place to protect everyone. The League of Minnesota Cities recommended that we have staff reach out to neighboring cities to see what they do for their fire department. We found many neighboring cities have a 0 alcohol policy. Today, I ironically received a message from our insurance provider who meets with me every January. And one of our agenda items to talk about is a drug and alcohol policy. Many communities have a specific drug and alcohol policy as well as a personnel policy. So
Do we,
I'm gonna,
do we not have,
we do not right now. We do not have a separate drug and alcohol policy. I do have some examples, and we will talk about it when the insurance rep comes in about a month. He'll be here in about a month, and we'll sit down and talk about putting that together. So I'm gonna turn it over to Attorney Arneson.
Well, I've been involved in the discussions to an extent, and as city attorney, as I think I mentioned at the last meeting, my recommendation has to be that we go with what our insurance carrier is recommending, which is, as I understand it, a 12-hour moratorium on consumption of alcohol or mood-altering substances prior to responding to a call. So that is my official recommendation to the council. There has been some discussion about, working into this gradually, and
0.
yes, to 0, which is my understanding that is the ideal that the insurance carrier wants us to work towards.
Correct.
So the idea is a 12-hour moratorium would be a starting step.
Alright, so I'm gonna get started here. Just reading through, pages on page 10 and page 12 of the League of Minnesota Cities firefighter management and reliability issues. So on page 10, they go into details on the International Fire Chiefs Association recommends a 0 tolerance policy. Okay, so that's for full-time paid firefighters, so this is people that's all they do, right? So that would, be probably standard with most businesses in the United States, right? You're not coming to work, intoxicated. But, okay, so on the next page, but for smaller departments, a 0 tolerance policy may simply not be practical. For me personally, I believe that's a pretty big hindrance on a small department like ours. Since it could mean that sometimes there simply aren't enough firefighters available to respond to emergency calls, and I would see that being a major problem for us. So it goes on to say an alcohol policy should have these 2 basic goals, right? And when I read through this other page here that looks like it's also possibly from the League of Minnesota's, they kind of spell it out, and maybe we could look at that. But to ensure the safety of all firefighters and public and liability of the fire department to do its job, to give the firefighters and the department's officers clear guidance on what is and isn't permitted. So then it goes on even further to talk about a recommendation, and this is what's odd when they're saying 1 in 12 hours, when they say, how did they put it? A good alternative approach is to coach the policy in terms of a number of drinks consumed in a specific time period, which is kind of what we already have, isn't it? Although it's different from what they're now saying, so I don't know if they didn't read their own, rules or what.
Talk about that.
So,
They said it's been misinterpreted.
well,
That's pretty good.
but then it goes on here and it says consumed alcohol within the preceding 4-hour period. Okay, hold on, let's see. Basically, I need to read a little bit more here. The commercial driver's license rules which prohibit a driver from operating a vehicle if he or she has consumed alcohol within the preceding 4-hour period are a reasonable starting point. So they're basically telling you that you can start with, hey, you cannot consume alcohol within the past 4 hours. Now, this is in their handbook, so I'm having a hard time believing why it would be a problem for us to, basically start at their starting point. No, I think ours had 2 drinks, right?
It says 2 drinks.
Yeah,
before.
so. So they're basically saying that you couldn't consume, any alcohol within a 4-hour period, which was, I guess, where the 6-hour thing it sort of came in. So then there's some other approach. So they keep going on. Another approach would be to require an officer in charge to evaluate the firefighter. Okay, and I've heard some stuff that maybe it sounded like, there's been evaluations that have happened. Based on previous comments that were made the last time that we talked about this. So, and then another solution would be to have a portable breath testing machine. They sort of give you options in here, and it seems as though we're close to the one. It's just maybe instead of, we're saying that they couldn't have more than 2 drinks in 4 hours. And this is saying, hey, you shouldn't have any.
And I really don't understand where the 12-hour, where that recommendation comes from and with consuming alcohol, because as I stated last meeting, you can consume a drink in this hour, wait an hour, and you're completely sober again. So I don't understand why you have to wait 12 hours if you have 1 drink. It's gonna make it impossible to fill the fire department, in my opinion. So I just think that we're going to the nth degree, which I just don't see the need.
Yeah, the 12-hour thing, I mean, if you think about it, so you have, you go out and you go and have dinner and have a drink, 1 drink, maybe wine, whatever.
Yep.
It's 7:30 and 5 a.m. there's a call and you can't go to the call. It's just unpractical. It's too far.
Well, I think, from what I understand from Chief Zaski, talking to him, they do have a 0 tolerance policy on driving the vehicle, right? How many hours do you do that for?
0 tolerance on driving and 0 tolerance on medical.
And 0 tolerance on medical, so, I mean, they're doing more. That's not in our policy anywhere. It would be nice to throw that in to show that we're doing more, whatever, too, on those specifically. I'm in line with, what Joe was reading as far as, a starting point, what the league is saying.
And this policy that they have in here is, some of it is quite well, and I think we're doing some of it already. Upon arriving to the fire hall, in response to emergency call, a firefighter shall immediately inform the fire officer in charge of any following conditions. Have they consumed any alcohol? Have they taken any prescription drugs? So like that essentially puts it on the firefighter to tell, the staff or who's ever in charge at that point. Yeah, and then there's, any firefighter who during an emergency response observes any indication that another firefighter, so they're basically having each other kind of watch each other, and it's, so I don't know, if we don't have one, maybe we could look at putting something written in place
Well, I think
unless it's already written.
the league will guide us on that one.
Well,
Mhm.
and that's what this is, like, this is from the league.
Yeah, and I think, you know, for the 12-hour period, that was great for the ambulance, which should be, you know exactly when you're gonna be on call. You know, you shouldn't be drinking anyways, and, you know, that's a little, you know, you got your call times. I mean, when I was on the ambulance, I, you know, knew exactly when he was gonna be on call. Well, I'm not going out and having a drink before I'm on call. It's very easy, you know when you're on call. Fire department's on call 24/7, so basically we're saying, you're not drinking. But when the league has a different viewpoint on volunteer fires, you know, maybe we look at, like I said, more for the EMS part of it, the ambulance service versus fire department. Because they know when they're on call, and if they're been drinking and they need a backup rig, they're not gonna show up anyways because they've been drinking. Which is what they should be anyways, it's not, you know, we're dealing with, you know, it says.
Okay, anyone else? I guess what the question is asking is, do we approve or deny any changes, so,
What I'm hearing is 4 hours versus 12.
I would say probably a more comprehensive and more inclusive to what the, what
I
we're
mean,
already.
they spell
what
it
we're already-
out.
What we're already doing and what the league laid out there.
A
I mean, if
reasonable
we can-
starting point.
If we can lay out, instead of just the sentence of what is expected and what they're already doing, not changing some of those things, right? To put it in writing that there is a zero tolerance for medicals and for driving. And then as far as the other piece, you know, the 4-hour piece, I would say include a lot of that. So it's not just one sentence or adding one word.
so what I hear you saying is you think some changes need to be made, but more comprehensive changes.
To include what we're
To
doing.
include, yeah,
And then
Yeah.
go off of what the league maybe suggested in their piece here that Joe was reading from.
Yeah, and it spells right there for you. I mean, it
Yeah.
just.
Mhm.
I mean, we
it's-
can't
it's saying
expect,
that it's not, for smaller departments, a zero tolerance policy may simply not be practical.
but it's not just smaller departments, it's volunteer
Volunteer,
departments.
it says
That's what I'm
volunteer.
getting at.
Yeah.
Right,
I-
so
I-
I mean, yeah, I mean,
That's
if
what
you
I
were
would consider,
full-time, you know,
Right.
or if you paid your fire department,
Yeah,
that would be different as well, as far as like a full-time job.
that would be
Smaller-
completely different, and that would
Exactly.
be,
Right, but we don't have that right now, so that would be my suggestion, and, I mean, if we can, maybe work through some language,
You're the policy
and then,
setters, tell me
and
what
then
you
bring
want
it
in
back.
there. You're the ones who lay it out, so tell me what you want in there. That's what the league said. They can advise us, but it's up to you.
well, I would like to see what, Chief Zaski maybe has, whether it's written or, you know.
We have SOGs that lays it out with 2 drinks in a 4-hour period, zero tolerance for medicals and driving. And we followed the template that the League of Cities gives you, and you can go on their website and
Yeah, I think that's what this.
Mhm.
Does it
this
say
one
2
is.
drinks in a 4-hour period on the League of Minnesota Cities?
on the number 1, it says firefighters who has consumed more than 2 drinks of alcohol beverages in the previous 4 hours shall not respond to emergency call.
Yeah, so that's
That's not
exactly
That's
what.
right from
Yeah.
the League of Cities.
Yeah, and this is,
That's not what they told me on the phone, though. But
now this was 9/1 of 2019, unless they.
That's
unless
the
they-
current one. If
Yeah.
you go on their website, you'll get that.
So that's exactly what we act today.
that's different than what they're telling me.
Because we ran into this probably, the guys would have to correct me, 8-10 years ago, and we reached out to the League of Cities, and that's where we came up with all our rules for, and we actually made it tougher for the medical and the driving.
Well, one issue could be that the league is compartmentalized. The League Insurance Trust
It's different.
is a different entity. They're the ones that insure us. What you're reading from is from the League Research Department. That's the office that puts out kind of general information to city councils. And perhaps we should ask them to clarify what their actual position is between those departments. But,
They're separate entities. I've been speaking with the insurance company and HR, which is also different from the research side. And the research side, or the insurance side, told me absolutely not, should that be in your personnel policy. They did not like that language.
Well, no, but our language was saying that you could have the two.
I think that is
And
the
this is
problem, the way
different.
it's
If you
phrased.
just, if you, read through it, it says a firefighter who has consumed more than 2 drinks of alcohol beverages in the previous 4 hours shall not respond. Isn't ours, how is ours written?
The same way.
It's the same way?
That's what they did not like.
This is,
Well, are they-
it's like their recommendation.
Do they realize?
Including, because we're talking city employees, so, obviously firefighters are part of the city employees, but are they, is that clarified out, or are they just looking at this like, actual city employees, like city maintenance workers, or?
No,
anything
we
like that?
had a very long discussion
Okay.
that they were volunteer, and that's why they asked me to check with neighboring towns, and many neighboring towns go with a zero alcohol policy.
Which towns is that?
I left the, notes in the, Northern America was one of them, I remember.
That's the metro department?
Well, I sense that there's some changes that the council would like to make some changes, look at it a little further.
Yes, you'll have to give me the language, cause you
Right.
are the ones that need to write this.
Yep.
They give us advice, I'm passing along the advice from the league, and then
I
they
would take the
recommend you
language
listen to
right
the
out of
city
there.
attorney, so. You guys have to come up with the language. You exactly what I'm seeing there.
Well, this is, this is their full-blown alcohol and drug for firefighter response.
Maybe we wait until the insurance rep comes down to go through this. It might be easier when he comes down in person.
Would there be a way for him to come and do a workshop with us?
I can ask. I know his schedule's pretty busy. The only opening he had was, I think he's coming on the 18th in the morning of January.
Like I said, I could see 12 hours for ambulance or even,
So we
city
could
employees. but
table this until
fire-
after I meet with
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
and go from there.
I think so.
Wait till someone comes down. And he's our insurance rep, not League of Minnesota Cities. So like Ross explained, it's two separate entities.
Well, I think it would be nice if we could have a workshop with him so that we're hearing firsthand their recommendations and how it differs from our insurance versus the league, and potentially at the same meeting have someone from that, on the research
Yeah,
side
because-
from the league also present at that workshop, so that we get the clear picture
Right,
in one
'cause it's-
meeting.
It seems to
Because
be
it's
common sense versus,
It's contradicting,
Yes.
Insurance.
is what we're hearing.
Versus insurance, yeah.
And I guess that's where my struggle is, or whatever, too. So,
Okay, would anyone care to make a motion to table this again?
I'll make a motion to table.
Was,
Oh, go ahead.
before we, is there anybody else that wanted to add anything?
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes.
Jeff Otto, been on the department 26 years. I served in John's position. I was an officer for 13 years. And I could say we had a handful maybe over the years that came to me and said, I didn't come because I was drinking. So they're already self-policing themselves. And I haven't seen it change in 26 years. I think every one of the guys or gals are responsible adults on this department.
And that's, I think, something, I think everybody's making a mountain out of a
Right.
molehill, because absolutely, this is just language in a policy that our insurance is recommending. Nothing would actually change for the firefighters. It is common sense.
Right.
If you think you had too much to drink, don't show up at a fire call.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not gonna monitor
But
you.
don't
Right,
even
but
say
when
that,
we-
because that's not even, that's not even a thing. I am not gonna write a policy to say that there's 0 tolerance in 12 hours, and then just say to those guys, oh, well, just don't listen to that policy. That's saying to anybody, any of the ordinance that we have, on any of our books that we're not gonna enforce anything.
I agree.
That's not okay.
No, it's not.
So you write this policy saying that we can't, in 12 hours, we can't respond to a call. I get home from work at 6:30 in the morning, I have a drink, I go to bed, pager goes up, I gotta be to work at 8 o'clock at night, I can't even respond to a call. So what's the point of me being on the fire department? I'm never gonna make my quotas because of a 12-hour alcohol policy. So you're telling me you can't drink, period, ever, right? That's your, that's
I
your.
mean,
honestly, that's the way I
that's
read
what
it.
it-
That's the way I read
That's
it.
why we're
That's
talking
the way-
about it,
That's
yeah.
the way, same way I read it.
Like it's, yeah.
And I think we're all grown adults, we need to work through this and figure out what's gonna be best for the fire department and the community, because if we can't respond, town will burn down.
Oh, yeah, that's,
So,
That's what we don't want.
and we have a lot of guys that can retire right now, if this goes bad, it's gonna go
Yeah.
bad quick.
Well, the council doesn't want that to happen, you know that, and this just needs some more work and to arrive at some type of a common sense conclusion. We have a motion to table this for further discussion by Councilmember Batchor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Batchor, second by Councilmember Thomas to table the topic of changing the alcohol mood altering drugs in the policy or the policy manual for the fire department. All in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay, discussion, item 26, discussion on Mcguire bill for Seneca site. This was tabled at the the December 6th meeting also.
This one is still being investigated. MVEC was out for a while after last council meeting. Had a conversation with them today. I do know that we were billed, and this bill is pretty generic, so it doesn't lay out exactly what we're billed for. We were billed for the inside and the outside of the building, when we only approved the outside work. So we will sit down and meet with.
Is he gonna split it out?
Yeah.
We will
Okay.
sit down and meet with Mcguire and
Makes sense.
Gene O'Brien to figure this out.
Okay, so this will still remain tabled, and we will move forward. Item 27, approve deny proposal for professional engineering services for Bolden and Mink for the water treatment facility rehab.
So this is our proposal, for construction related services. So this would be us managing, and inspecting the project on the city's behalf throughout construction, so we have about a 50-week construction schedule. This is all billed hourly, so it's only as needed basis. So we're on site only when we need to be, we're doing the work only when we need to be. So the price there is a not to exceed price, it could be lower, depending on how much work we put into it. Sometimes that's based on contractor stuff and the types of issues that come up. Any
So-
specific questions?
This wasn't part of the whole project?
so the bid is for the contractor, it's going to them, now we've got, this is a separate contractor essentially for this portion of it, for the engineering and supervision, right?
Right.
So it's different from
Just
street
ensuring
projects
they're
where,
doing, just ensuring that
goes
they're
right
doing
with-
everything properly.
No, I
would assume.
understand, but I mean, I was under the impression that I was part of the package deal when we decided how much everything was. So, or when we voted on the cost of the project.
okay, questions for Jake? Is there a motion on the request?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Sharpie, second by Councilmember Thomas to approve the proposal for professional engineering services from Bolton and Mink for the water treatment facility rehab. More discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thanks, Jake. Item 28, approve or deny updated fire department standard operations guide. Chief Zaski, you wanna speak to this?
I don't, did all the council members receive this?
Yep.
So, what we did is we reviewed this and we cleared up some of the language. Probably 6 months ago, City Administrator Newsom asked me about facial hair. It's listed in our SEBAs, but we didn't say what we were complying with, so we put that in there that we're complying with the OSHA and NFPA standards. If you have a goatee or a mustache, you can comply as long as you have a seal.
Yeah.
And if the guys or the gals don't know, they can go on the website and it gives them a picture and stuff of it.
Do you guys have to do like fit testing and stuff?
Yes, we
like
do that every
annually,
year,
or-
and we do a physical every other year. We added clean to, when you bring the units back from a call, we added clean to it. We had refuel, and we added the word clean, because we're getting younger guys on. Used to be an unwritten rule, you cleaned all the equipment when you come back. Well, now we have to put the word in there because, we changed the wording a little bit on the drill requirements. It's still 11, but it's 11 at 100%. Because we have firefighters that come late, leave early, and the other firefighters didn't appreciate that. They were getting full credit because part of your requirements to get paid and in good standing with the fire department is you have to make a minimum of 11 drills. So we had to make clarity on the percentage of the time. So 13 is actually 75% of 11. That's how that 13 came in.
What page are you on of the?
I'm just going off of my notes.
Oh, okay,
from,
okay, I was trying to follow along here.
That's the first page
That's
that
Just
he's on.
first page.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was, number 2.
Okay,
it should have been all
Alright, got
highlighted
it.
for
Yep,
you.
yep,
Yeah,
yep, it is, it is.
It is
I
highlighted.
thought we had moved past the first page, I'm sorry.
It is, it's page 2.
Okay,
So basically, it was just clarifying and wording. We didn't add any strict rules or anything like that. Any questions, concerns? We do this periodically. The last time we did a revision was March of 2021. And then we did one in December of 18, so periodically we have to go back through this.
so there was not any verbiage for ground searches before, and that's been added now, or?
Correct.
Okay,
That came about at the county chiefs meeting midsummer. Henderson Fire had a call out and the sheriff's department requested fire out there. Well, you're searching for somebody in the river bottoms in dark. Why risk our guys getting hurt? So it gives the officers a chance, and all the fire departments in the county have adopted this, so that the officer in charge can decide if they want their firefighters to go down by the river or something like
Okay,
that
okay.
and risk getting hurt. It's bad enough to find your way out of the woods in the daylight, let alone in the pitch black when you're not familiar with it.
okay, any further questions on the changes? If not, a motion is in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Sharpie, second by Councilmember Thomas to approve the updated Arlington Fire Department Standard Operating Guidelines. Any further discussion, comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. All right, miscellaneous business committee updates. Are there any that you have not been made aware of yet? Anything? Open discussion, anything there?
I have a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
Online applications. So in our packet today, we got, a couple of applications for waste collection filled out by hand. So can we work on the applications that we have? I'm assuming liquor is probably not online yet either. And some of them other random ones that we get coming in, can we work towards putting them online?
I'm not sure, like the waste ones, I send those out specifically to the companies, because I don't think they would look or
Well, you could
realize that they
email
have to.
them and say,
link.
here's the link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
It would be an Adobe.
or however, whatever. I mean, I'm just saying that that might be easier just to do it that way. And if there's, I know that, we've been working getting all of our planning and zoning stuff online, so, to put this online, and then, there's no scanning, no nothing, it just comes in electronically and we have the file then too, right? Just a suggestion. And then the other thing that I have is, we got a resignation today, and we've been getting resignations on and off. And I'm just curious if the city does anything as far as an appreciation for the years of service that these community members have volunteered to us and for us.
Yes, we did with, the longer ones, we did with Bob last year, where the handsome is similar for this one.
So, and if there's like
There might be a few others too.
you know, if it's an unwritten, rule, you know, it might be nice to write something down that after so many years, you know,
Well,
the
we
city.
talked about a plaque, right? I don't know. Yeah, like I thought,
I mean,
I
yeah,
know that
but
is written
how
in
many
it.
years though? I mean, I don't think it's unwritten, I guess is my thought, I just don't wanna leave
Just so
something
we
like
aren't-
that unsaid, because I mean,
So
that's a
we
lot of,
We aren't skipping anyone, you know. we
well,
certainly
right,
don't
I
want
mean, that it's across the board.
Okay.
Cause I know I appreciate all the people that volunteer their time and energy.
Anything else? Shelley?
That's all I got.
That's it?
I've got one thing,
Mhm.
and the only reason I'm bringing this up, because I noticed it when, when we're going through all the budgets and, with the franchise fees from cable, no longer going to, whatever, I can't.
Cable commission.
Cable commission. We really didn't I don't think we ever discussed what we're gonna do with that money, whether we're going to implement a program. I mean, I think it was, some of it was going to the schools, and I really think it should be going, it still should be going to the schools. And then whether we created a program, something like, what was, where, like the churches or the libraries.
essentially it was like a technology
Grant.
type, yeah, like
Yeah, because I mean, the churches are still upgrading, so
Yeah,
cause
we
most of
need
them doing Facebook, and they're putting in money. I know ours did quite a bit to, upgrade, so they have better on Facebook anyways. So is that something we wanna look at doing with this money? 'Cause we never really discussed what to do with it now that we're getting it all.
Has it just been going into the general fund, or
Just got into the general fund.
do we have a record or tally of how much we took in this year off of that? It'd be interesting to see.
better books now than we ever did.
We do.
Right.
So,
Is there anything on that, is there anything that we need to do to have it be its own fund, money coming in, going into that fund,
Well, it is
instead of the general fund?
I think going into the general fund is fine, it's still its own line item, so we know how much is coming in.
Okay, so it is,
I think we wanna create a separate fund just for that.
When we were still part of the county cable commission, former council member Huddlestead was very active in trying to get some of our franchise money back into our community, as you recall. And the mechanism that was used was he would elicit requests for grants from the school, church, whatever, and then they were approved by the Cable Commission. And so it's something a council, I guess, could consider as opposed to, you know, just handing out chunks of money. You know,
Right,
it,
well, the schools should get what they've always gotten at least, and then the rest of it, we keep it in a fund for grants.
Well, I don't think there's ever been like an X
No.
amount of dollars that's been giving, it's always been.
It's
applied-
per project.
applied
It's
for.
project
Yeah.
based.
It's always
Yeah.
been
I
applied
thought
for.
the schools were given a check each year for
No.
something.
No, it's always been applied for, so like,
Okay.
let's say, Sibley Scoop had a project where they wanted to
Mhm,
purchase new
mhm.
equipment,
Mhm.
they would submit a
Yes,
application.
that was my understanding, is because they had.
And it wasn't every year, the cable commission did not
No,
give the school
yeah, I know
money
they
every
did,
year.
they did last year, the last year I was on it, or the only year I was on it, but
Who would-
they went through and each school got, Sibley East got something, and then each parochial school, and it was supposedly budgeted out that that's what they got was, you know, Sibley East got something, GFW got something, and the Pony River parochial schools got,
Yeah, that-
was what I was told anyways by the cable commission. Now, whether or not we do it and make a donation to the, or whatever, you know, to the technology department at the school, or they apply, either way, but if we
So
create it.
we would have to create a document
Yeah.
for them just to.
A simple application, and whether we could, you know, I don't know if we run it through like the EDA, like we do with the revolving loan, I don't know where we'd run it through,
Not an
just
EPA
us.
program, so council.
Just be
Just
council.
council.
Yeah, yeah,
Good enough, just,
yeah.
yeah, and-
just thoughts.
yeah, and again, I think the project grant approach is what's most appropriate legally, because these are city funds, and the city can't legally just say, well,
Give money.
we're gonna give money, you know,
Right.
on a budgetary basis, like school gets $10,000 every year.
Right.
That's not appropriate. But if they come to us and say, well, we need X new computer system or software, and it's gonna cost X amount, I think that's allowable.
Anything else? I just have one thing, I'm just wrapped up, as far as I'm concerned, my part in the committee appointees, and I will give this document to City Administrator Newsom for action at the January 3rd, is it? January 3rd council meeting. Citizen committees are all in place, we're gonna have 2 vacancies going forward in planning and zoning, I mentioned that last time, I believe, that we still need 2 people there. I did leave 4 spots open for the new appointee, council appointee, so just put that name in those spots when that happens. And then we also have 1 vacancy in the cemetery committee, otherwise everything is complete. 2 new members of the Historical Society also, so. So I will give that to you now for inclusion in the next packet you send out. Anything else? There's a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Motion by Councilmember Thomas, second by Councilmember Batchor to adjourn the council meeting. All in favor say aye.
I.
Opposed, no. Meeting adjourned